Welcome to Derivatives Lesson 7, Trig Derivatives, where we will use the definition of derivatives to find the derivatives of the first three trig functions, and then part of your homework will be to find the other three trig derivatives as well as some other things. So let's get right at it. Oh yeah, you may want to review your special derivatives regarding sine, cosine, and tangents, the ones you know as the limit as h approaches 0. You might want to review those before you start this. Alright, here we go. Okay, use the definition of derivative to find f prime of x if f of x is sine x. So I will let you try to set that up on your own, and then we'll go from there. So go ahead and pause. Alright, that'd be limited as h approaches 0, sine of x plus h minus sine of x all over h. And then we're going to use our extensive knowledge of the sum of two angles and finding the sine of that to break up that sine of x plus h. So I'll let you go ahead and try that next. You may have to review, or you might just pause and then turn it on because you have no clue. And that's fine with me, whatever. Alright, here we go. I think I wanted a little bit bigger pause, so I'm going to pause it now. So we have the sine of x times cosine of h plus sine of h times cosine of x minus sine of x all over h. Alright, now go ahead and try to manipulate that as best as you can. And, you know, you're looking for those special limits as you rearrange and play around. Good luck, and you should be looking for patterns. Alright, pause and work on it. Come on back. Alright, I changed the order of addition and then factored out, and I'm hoping that you guys can see this and that you can also see this. Really hoping you can see those two things right there, because that is where we are headed. Well, now we're going to write that as the sum of two fractions. Both those fractions will have an h in the denominator, and I'll let you try that. Alright, and as we do that, we should now be able to limitize these. And what is the cosine of h minus 1 all over h when we take the limit as h approaches 0? Oh yeah, that's right. So sine of x times 0 plus, and what is the limit as h approaches 0 of sine h over h? You betcha, it's 1. Okay, times that cosine of x, which is right there. Sine of x, whatever it is going to equal 0 plus 1 cosine of x. So f prime of x is going to equal cosine of x. So the derivative of sine x is cosine x. Alright, now let's go ahead and find out what the derivative of cosine x is. We're going to do the same exact thing, play around with it, factor it out, set it with a couple fractions all over h, and see what we get. Alright, I'll let you try to set it up again. I'll do some chicken scratching on my end, and we'll see if the twain shall meet. Alright, this is how far I got it first. Cosine of x plus h, cosine of x, cosine of h, minus, sign change with the cosine, minus sine x, sine h, minus cosine of x all over h. Alright, I'll let you try to do a little algebraic manipulation and see if you can do it. So go ahead and pause. Once again, I used the commutative property and changed the addition. So this is negative cosine x. Move that out front so that you can factor out. And I'm hoping again that you can see that we're going to have cosine of h minus 1 all over h. That's going to be a 0. And then over here, when you write that second fraction, it's going to be sine of h over h, which is going to be 1 when you take the limit as h approaches 0. So, alright, let's go ahead and show that. by writing two separate fractions and then simplifying and finding our derivative. Yes, that's a couple of steps again. Alright, so go ahead and pause and work. Alright, I've got them written into two separate fractions now. And now we should be able to look at this and see that as we take the limit, as h approaches 0 of that, yes, you guys, this really is an h right here, not an n. Just in case you're wondering, I know a couple people say, well, where did that n come from? No, it's an h. Okay, that's going to be 0, so cosine of x times 0 is 0. Okay, minus, and then this sine h over h, yes, that's 1 when you're taking the limit as h approaches 0. So 0 minus sine x. So the derivative of cosine of x, f prime of x, is going to be negative sine x. Alright, now let's try the next one. Find the quotient rule to find f prime of x if f of x is tangent x. So you got to ask yourself, punk, what is tangent of x written as a fraction? Because obviously we're using the quotient rule. So go ahead and write tan x as a fraction, and then when you can figure that out, come back to me and we'll move on. Good, you got it right. F of x equals sine x over cosine x. Now what I'd like you to do is I would like you to change that, use the quotient rule to figure out what the derivative of tangent x is. Go ahead and do the first couple steps, see how far you can get, and then we'll compare notes. Go for it. Alright, that's how far I got. Derivative of the numerator, cosine of x, times the denominator, cosine x, minus the numerator, sine x, times the derivative of the denominator, negative sine x, all over the denominator, squared. And then when I simplified, I got cosine squared x plus sine squared. Where have I seen that before? Cosine squared x plus sine squared x. I know I've seen that somewhere before. Alright, when you figure it out, go ahead and write it down and then simplify, and you will find the derivative of f of x. And by the way, sorry, this should have a prime here and this should be a prime here. Alright, we'll keep on moving on as soon as you pause. I don't really think you paused. That's alright. I know how you are. I'll catch you. So cosine squared plus sine squared, 1 over cosine squared x. And then we'll put that into a positive light, kinda. Instead of having a cosine in the denominator. Okay, that is the inverse, sorry, not the inverse, the reciprocal of secant. So the derivative of tangent x is secant squared x. And that's the derivative of tangent. Alright, that's about all I have to say on that right now. When you start your homework tomorrow, I'll show you a cool way to help you remember. Maybe I'll show you that tomorrow at the end of the hour. I don't know yet. A great way to show you how to remember all 6 trig function derivatives. Alright, this does conclude lesson 7 on derivatives. Just got one thing to say. Go Tig. Oh, that's right. They lost today, 2-1. Well, go Lion. Oh, the Lions lost too. Wow, I might have to change this in years to come. Yeah, that's okay. Whatever. All right. Have a good evening, and talk to you later. Bye.